What is it you want, Q?
Your compassion. All right. Sanctuary on this ship. Dreary as it may sound to the both of us.
Return that moon to its orbit.
I have no powers! Q the ordinary!
Q the liar! Q the misanthrope!
Q the miserable! Q the desperate! What must I do to convince you people?
Die.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Fully Functional, a TNG podcast. I'm Maggie, joined by Jeff and Dory.
Yo.
Jeff and I are huge Star Trek nerds, Dory's a Star Trek novice, and we are taking her on her first journey through Star Trek The Next Generation. Today we'll be discussing the Season 3 episode, Deja Q. Original air date, February 3rd, 1990. And as always, we'll take it to Dory for the recap.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Lots of process,
First, I was hysterical while I was watching this episode. I was truly a mess and a half in a good way. Can we also just start off? Deja Q is truly the funniest title.
Actually, that's quite amusing because both the showrunner and Gene Roddenberry acknowledged that up until this point, this had been the funniest episode of Star Trek that they had done. Like, that includes with the original series stuff, too.
This episode is truly everything.
Oh, yeah, it's great. The dialogue's fantastic in it.
Oh, yes. Okay, so recap. Okay, so we start at this, so we're at, Brielle 4 because, the team is talking with their science team because there's, a moon that's gotten off its, rotation.
It's not mooning properly anymore.
Orbit.
It's orbit, yes. So, and it's an absolute fucking unit, and Lord, is that moon coming. So it's going to smash and kill a bunch of people in, I believe, the West Quadrant or something, or the West Continent, whatever. So they're Enterprise, help us. And the Enterprise is yeah, that seems about right. And so they're what can we do? So they're what if we tractor beam the moon?
What if we tech the moon?
Pull it? The funny thing is I laugh so hard because Picard asks Geordi, can you coax it or something? And to me, coaxing is asking, trying to convince, not physically doing something. I mean, that might not be the actual definition, but to me, the word coax has always sort of been used to
could you
convince someone to do something.
Could you, take
Geordi's
the moon
gonna
on a
sit there and be
date?
listen, Moon, I need you to do me a favor here. Can you please get back into your place and stop tunneling towards these people and killing them all in 29 hours. Oh yeah, we're also in the most bizarre timeline crunch. Actually, that's not true. This is not the most bizarre. But I did write down every single time they announced how many hours are left because the time management in the show is absolutely wild. It makes me, I love it. It truly is wild. Okay. So then they're oh no, this is going to be really bad. And then out of absolutely nowhere, Q appears floating sideways naked, and then he falls to the ground and goes, "Red alert." And I was wow,
Except he says it with a sinister grin.
Yeah.
Red alert.
So then they put him in a onesie for a baby or something. And basically Q explains he's been kicked out of the continuum for being too chaotic when it's ugh, I feel you, girl. And then, no kidding. And so he now has no more powers. And so he is now mortal, but he got to pick what he wanted to, I guess, be. And he chose human at the last second. And, there's so much, there's this whole scene when okay, because nobody's really believing Q, and he is I don't even know how to explain this whole scene on the bridge because it's truly incredible. the actor's John Delancey, right?
Yes, that's right.
This man, give him the Oscar. I don't even care that this is TV. Give him the Oscar. He is so freaking funny and so good. I'll say, like, I might just do like kind of a read through of this scene. Not the whole thing, but like most of the bits. I was obsessed with this scene.
You hated Q when you first met him. And like
I know.
We insisted to you, no, he's actually really funny. And like this is an excellent example of it.
I you know what I think it is? You know, like first time meet Q, I was angry, I hated him. But then like because I love continuity and on this stuff, when someone reappears that we've seen before, like that's why like when Greg and Dexter came back in another episode, I was like, oh, Greg and Dexter, like, hey guys, long time no see. And so Q coming back, like the last time when he was like hanging out with Picard in the shuttle, was like, okay, it's nice to see like a character that I know again. And then this episode, from that red alert, Q got me. Like I'm in it to win it. I love Q. That's it. I loved him in this episode. I hope he stays like this. Wow, this recap is going terribly. So basically, because nobody trusts that like Q is now mortal and doesn't have powers, they're like, let's put him in. I almost said jail. I don't know, what is it?
Let's put him in Horty jail.
The brig.
The brig. Yes.
Which is jail, basically.
Oh, okay. Space jail, we'll call it. So they put him in space jail to be like, we don't really trust you. We don't really get what's happening. It also seems, they think that Q is also behind the moon situation. And Q is very much, I'm not. Man, he has so many, he's got like the most incredible exchanges with Worf, which I will get to later. It's beautiful. If I could chef's kiss a scene, like, okay, my favorite scene up until this episode was Picard and Dr. C in NaQued Now. This is now like this is not my favorite, but this is a close second. For very different reasons, obviously. but I dead. Okay. Then so once they have this, also full disclosure, I wrote 5 pages of notes, so this might not be in the correct chronological order. I'm just trying to remember from 5 pages of notes what happened. So like Q's in space jail, and then they're like, then all of a sudden everybody gets really overexposed, and they're like, what's happening? Like the lights just get way too bright in the Enterprise.
Or overexposed? You mean like when Q was nude?
Poo-poo. Yeah, then there's this like blue, like glowing light floating around like once in a while, which is like, have we not had enough random glowing flying things at this point? Like, and we're only in the 3rd season, so like how many more are coming our way?
Oh, there's more.
I don't even know if I want to know. So then Picard allows Q out of his cell under the condition that like Data basically babysits him. So Data, they're like, okay, maybe if we like make him be useful, they bring him to Geordi to try to like come up with something, because he's like has all this knowledge of something that could help them with the moon. But then like, because Q is now human, he's experiencing human things, and he's like, his back just like starts hurting.
Yeah, I love that he just has a bad back.
Yeah, he goes, Q's just like leaning over, and he just goes, this is incredible. And then Geordi goes, you see something here, Q? And then Q goes, I think I just hurt my back. I'm feeling pain. I don't like it. What's the right thing to say? Ow? Wild. Okay, so then like they're like, okay, Q's like, this is what we have to do. We have to like basically redefine gravity. Easy, right? Cool. Next. And so then they bring Dr. C in to check on his back. But Dr. C seems like she's having a really good time giving like a rough sort of evaluation of him a little bit. So then Data, so then Q is like pretty bummed. So Data brings him to 10 forward. And then And Q's like, I'm really bummed. What should I get? And Data's like, well, Troy really likes chocolate when she's bummed.
Because he figured out that he was hungry.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, Q figures out he's hungry. He's got a rumbly in his tumbly, if you will. And so, yeah, Data's like, Troy eats chocolate, or like sometimes like a chocolate sundae. And so Q is like, I want 10. And then the icon that is Guinan, who we haven't seen for so freaking long. I was so happy to see Guinan, but she, like, the icon she is, goes right up to Q and is like, sup, bitch.
Guess who?
And Guinan, like, Q's like, yeah, I'm human now. And Guinan's like, cool, let me, like, test this. And she stabs him in the hand.
When she's eyeing that fork, I was legitimately, like, I'd forgotten what happened. And was just like, wait, did she stab? What the fuck? And then, like, she stabs him in the hand, and I'm like, oh, thank God.
It's so good.
I kind of remembered, but, like, as I was watching that scene, I'm like, is this a false memory? Does she stab him in the hand? And, yep.
She does not hesitate. She's just like, it's happening. I'm doing it. So, like, they have a little conversation, and Guinan's like, the only way you're really going to survive as a human is if you, like, it's based on charity. Or what? There's, like, a line from a movie where it's like, maybe it's Gone with the Wind. It's like, could depend on the kindness of strangers.
Yeah, that is Gone with the Wind. Oh, no,
Yeah.
sorry.
No,
that's
it's Streetcar.
That's Streetcar Named Desire.
Named
Yeah,
Desire?
my bad.
Okay. I knew
Is that actually in Streetcar, or is that just The Simpsons?
No, I think it is, because
I'm pretty sure
I've
is.
seen Streetcar. Yeah. You know what it is? I'm thinking because it's
depend
Vivian
on
Lee.
the kindness of strangers.
Because Vivian Lee is in both movies. I think that's Vivian Lee as Blanche, I want to say.
Oh.
Anyways. Oh, yeah. Okay. So then we learn that blue floaty thing is, I keep wanting to call them a catamaran.
It's aliens.
It's calamarian? Yeah.
Calamari.
Calamarian? Whatever. I'm going to call it the calamarangs.
Dude, I don't remember.
Just like, boat party. Oh, yeah. So basically, they're there because they're pissed off at Q for something he did previously at some point. Oh, they're also described as swirls of ionized gas. So, that's something. So Q, as it turns out, decided initially he was like, oh, I came to the Enterprise to be with my best friend Picard, or Jean-Luc. And but then it's like jigs up. Q actually came to the Enterprise because he knew the catamarans were going to come after him, and he wanted to go to the Enterprise for protection. So Picard is like, thanks, asshole. So like Picard is like really happy to just like let Q off at like the next starbase and call it a day. And then I wrote in my notes, I don't even remember what actually happens at this part, but I wrote, Q is not here to make friends. This isn't RuPaul's Best Friend race. But yeah, so then
This isn't Star Trek's
to,
Best
like,
Friend
help.
race.
Yeah. This isn't Starfleet's Best Friend race.
Terrible.
So
Absolutely terrible.
So yeah, basically, Q gets sent to help Geordi again. Q tries to overstep. Geordi's like, abso-fucking-lutely not. And they, like, tractor beam, whatever. So they actually start to move the moon slowly. But then the catamarans show up, and, Q starts to, like, glow. And he gets lifted out, and Data's like, oh, shit. And so he goes to, like, grab... he grabs Q, and then, like... I don't know, it like they get like electrocuted or something and fall to the ground, and like Data's really injured, but Q's fine, so
he's happy.
Yeah. Oh, honestly, okay, this is as if we haven't had enough like sidetracks so far in this episode. When the scene, so like they have the side of Data's head open, and Dr. C is trying to like, wait, is it Dr. C? Because I know
Yeah.
Geordi's there, but they're like trying to
They're both
like
there.
get him fixed up.
Yeah. They're both working on it.
Okay. So, on a personal note, this was honestly not triggering per se, but I've mentioned on the podcast before, my father is deaf. And when I was a kid, he got something called a cochlear implant, and where they cut basically, like, I don't know how it's like now, but back when he got it, they basically had to like cut open the side of your head to put this like magnet microphone thing. I don't remember the specifics of it, but basically they had to cut my dad's head, like the side of his head open behind his ear, basically like right where this like thing that Data's head is open. Like behind the ear-ish and like above. So like, but my dad's head was like shaved and he had staples. So like Data's head being open, I was like, oh boy, this is bringing back some questionable memories. My dad's fine.
The last time you see that.
Like it wasn't like triggering. It was just like, oh boy. Yeah, immediately I was like, oh, staples in my dad's head. Like, that's not a memory I love, but it's not like, I'm not going to be upset by, like, I'm not upset by it. Because in the end, it was something that helped my father immensely. So, still does. Oh yeah, so in the meantime, so while they're helping Data, they're like, we can't really try again because like we have to wait for another rotation of this fucking moon. It's like this moon, like what the fuck? Like, go home.
It's trying.
So then So like Q is kind of like obsessed. It kind of seems like he's kind of obsessed with Data, like wanting to like how like interested in how to be human, because like Q is a human and he's not into it, but Data wants to know more, and he's got like a really interesting list of that's from real, never mind, I'll get back to that later. Oh yeah, so okay, basically what they've sort of realized is that to like move the moon just that sentence is funny. To move the moon, they have to like lift their shields or something, and like because they need the power to tractor beam it to move it. But when they lift the shields, the catamarans like start to attack because they want Q. So Q decides, what if I peace out and like get them away? So he steals a shuttle and
he basically sacrifices himself for the ship.
Yes. And Picard and Riker are trying to like bring him back, but he's like, no. Well, actually, he didn't know. He's not the one preventing it, because then, in the shuttle, we meet Q2. That's just how I'm calling him, because I don't know. They just call each other Q. So to me, it's Q2, because this is the second Q I know.
Yeah, every Q is named Q.
Yeah. I figured. Oh God. So am I gonna have to remember? Because like the next Q we meet, I'm gonna have to call them Q3.
Hopefully we don't meet that many Q. So
okay. So I don't have to remember too many numbers. But this Q is played by Corbin Bernsen, who I know as he was on the show Psych. He played the main character Sean's dad. And so seeing him even... So, like, when I saw him, immediately... Like, he looks so different. He's so much younger there. But, like, you could still tell... Like, his face and his voice. His voice gave it away, too. And I was just like, oh, Henry Spencer? What's shaking, Bacon?
I am surprised you knew who he was. He actually took the role, not because he was a Star Trek fan, because he's not, but because he decided by this point in time that Star Trek was... at least something that was very culturally significant, and he wanted to be a part of it at some point in his life. And
that's fair.
Yeah, it's great, very
really
small
good.
point in his career, but yeah, he is good at it.
I thought he was great. I thought he was really fun. Yeah, I actually did a rewatch of Psych at the beginning of the pandemic. It was a good time for the most part. A couple minor things here and there, but for the most part, it you know what? It holds up for the most part. I'd say 93% holds up. Okay. Oh, yes. So back on the shuttle. So Q2 is like preventing Picard from like being able to have any kind of interaction with our Q. And so they're chatting, and he's basically like, listen, you did something selfless. And oh yeah, it was me who like betrayed you and was like, this guy needs to be kicked out for his bad behavior. But now you did something nice. You did something selfless. And Q is like, oh, I did? And he's like, yeah, I did. I for sure, I absolutely did. Because he was like going to sacrifice himself for the crew, but like for the Enterprise. But like Q's motivations were not like, oh, to save them. It's like, he's like, I don't like being a human. Just like kill me already. Get it over with. So, but Q2 is like, well, you did something nice. Therefore, I guess we're going to have to give you your powers back. And Q is like, nice. So I don't even remember if they beat the catamaran. I truly don't remember. I just remember them flying away. Do they do anything?
Oh, they piss off once Q is like...
Oh, has magic again?
Yeah.
Magic again. So then like Q... Because here's the thing. I would have thought that's where it would end. It did not. So then we go back into the Enterprise where Q makes quite the entrance with a mariachi band and playing the trumpet, in which I immediately thought, how bummed is Riker that he can't join in with the bone? And then he's like, hey guys, I'm back. Thanks for all your like fun times. And then he like, I don't know, makes cigars appear in Picard and Riker's mouth because, you know, people love having stuff put in their mouth without consent. Sorry, that was aggressive.
I mean,
it's still
so
a
was
cigar.
Q.
But just like, don't put. Doesn't matter what it is. Don't put shit in people's mouth. Let people put the stuff in their mouth for themselves. Oh yeah, so then like Q snaps his finger. I don't like, this whole thing is like wild, but he snaps his fingers and like two hot ladies show up like with Riker, and Riker's like, yeah, I can get my own women. And I was like, where, the holodeck?
I kind of love that quote, to be honest.
I love the way he says it too, because he's like, I don't need your fantasy women. It's like,
yeah,
dude,
like,
aren't you the one who screws the holodeck?
I don't need your fantasy women. I've got my own.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, he can create it himself. He doesn't need someone else to do it for him. Riker's, you know, he takes the initiative to make his own fantasy women. And then Q's like, okay, Worf. So Worf gets the ladies. Oh yeah. So then Q, man, this is a long one. Q then, before he leaves, he's like, Data, I want to give you a gift. Because, oh yeah, at one point, Q's like, Data's like a better human than I'll ever be. So he then gives Data the ability to laugh like an absolute nut job. He just starts laughing hysterically. And it's not funny. It's just...
Yeah, it's very disturbing.
Yeah, it's upsetting almost. It's just... Like, it's the laugh of someone who has done something very bad and is very pleased about it. It's like a cartoon villain laugh.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
And it goes on for too long.
Yeah, me too.
No, I enjoyed it, but it was also upsetting.
Yeah, that's kind of why I loved it, because it was just so weird.
And then, oh yeah, so then the episode ends. Maybe I'm forgetting the order. I don't remember when they put the cigar in his mouth, if that's earlier or later, but then... Because then he puts the cigar in Picard's mouth, and then I guess he takes like he like blows on it or something, or takes like a puff, and then smoke comes out, and it's Q in the cigar smoke or something, and it's like, what? But like, what a way to end the episode, is Q in a smoke. It was a lot, but I loved this episode. This episode was wild.
Yeah, and it's funny, too, because it's, like, all plot, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
I think, you know what I like the most about this episode, other than, like, the fucking hilarious lines, is that this is a really good example of, like, a plot where you have, like, a guest star come in, but it's still very connected to our team.
Yes.
To the bridge crew. Because you have Data in there. But it, like, because I think that's an issue I tend to like have a lot with the show, is like they bring on a guest star and everything's with the guest star, and literally if the crew wasn't there, what else would have changed? Like, not like the crew didn't actually matter. But in this, the crew was like they had other stuff to do. Q was like the side plot, but Q's side plot included so many people. because like everybody, like Picard had stuff with Q, and Data was very involved with Q. So like they were actually part of it. So it wasn't just like, oh, Q's going around, farting around, doing whatever. It's like, no, he had moments with so many people, and like they needed to have these moments with these people for the plot to progress. So I liked that a lot.
You know what's funny about that? You can actually thank Gene Roddenberry for that one, oddly enough, because the original concept of the episode was that Q was faking it, and he does something that like starts a war between the Federation and the Klingons or some shit like that, and they weren't happy with it, and they went to Gene Roddenberry and they asked him about the script, and he just said, look, it looks to me like you want to do a story about God finding his humanity, so just do it. Just do that story. And so they took his powers away for real, and they actually went for exploring humanity a little bit with it. And I think it was super successful, especially doing the pairing the fish out of water, who's Q, with the character who's aspiring to understand humans the whole time, Data. The pairing of the two of them for the episode, I think, was a magnificent idea, and they worked with it so well because they give them multiple moments together across the episode, and then have his redemption at the end be based entirely on Data. And that's great. I think it's really wholesome.
I feel like maybe in the beginning they made the same mistake with Q as they did with the Ferengi. Like, they just took him too seriously. Because in my opinion, Q is always better when he's, like, more of, like, a kind of Loki trickster kind of character, as opposed to, like, you know, an actual bad guy.
Yes. Well, yeah, I think I agree with that.
But, like, I mean, here's the thing. In my point of view, I actually kind of like that it started off, like, Q didn't know the Enterprise crew. So the first time we meet Q, he's like angry. It's like a lot of like pitchforks, anger, whatever, drama. It's like a lot. But then the second time we see him, he's like toned down, but not this toned down. So I think it's like the more he gets to know them, the more he gets like chilled out. So it's a progression, because I'd say like the last episode we saw him in, he still wasn't like Team Enterprise, but he wasn't like, hey, look at all my, like, oh, I guess we've seen him 4 times, right?
No, it's 3. This would be his 4th, my mistake.
Yeah, this would be the 4th, yeah, because there was the first episode, the Riker one, and then the last season. Yeah, I kind of see it like as a bit of a progression to like the more that he like gets to know the crew, the kind of softer he is. So like by the end of this episode, he's like, I'll see you later, but like, but the way they ended, it's like, oh, he'll definitely like be on their side or do something. I don't know. It will be less like, oh, Q next time see him. Like, it feels like it'll be more like, oh, hey, Q, like light annoyance versus like, oh, Q. So, because look, I guess also because Q2 told him that like the Enterprise is trying to like bring him back, that maybe like set something in him of like, oh, they care a little bit because they are trying to put an effort to like bring me back, because they know that I'm like, you know, this is a suicide mission. So
yeah, he was kind of surprised, I guess would be the word, at how, you know, the Enterprise was still trying to help him, despite, you know, how many problems it would solve just to let those guys have him.
Yeah.
And I think he even says at one point, like, after Data saved him, I think he says, like, I was thinking about it, and I came to the conclusion that I would not have done the same thing. And that's kind of where it clicks in, where he realizes, like, oh, I would be a terrible fucking human.
That is a great scene between him and Picard when he comes to that
sitting
realization.
on the desk.
Yeah, but like, I think it's what really sets it apart is he's not like, he is confessing how he's feeling about this to Picard, but it's not in a way that a normal human being would do it, and it still comes off naturally and convincing. It actually comes off like a person who doesn't understand how to confess shame. talking about it. Like, he's like, I have this thing, but I've never understood shame before because I've never had it. And so he's explaining this like it's just kind of matter of fact. And he doesn't like it. He knows that. But he doesn't understand what any of these feelings are, just that he's feeling negative about it. And I think that's really cool. That adds a lot to his to his character, and adds a lot to making it convincing throughout the episode, because he's consistently acting like that. It's always like, I don't understand what's actually going on, and so I'm going to react slightly weirdly about it.
Do you think Q was human long enough to go poopy?
That's a great question, and I did wonder about that. I'm not sure.
Well, you know what? I thought about that too.
Would Data have to take him to the bathroom and show him what to do?
Oh boy.
Oof.
Wait, but here's the thing. Would Data be the right person for that? Because I assume Data doesn't shit.
I assume he knows what to do in theory.
Well, maybe. That's true. I did think about that because, like, when he's like, oh, my stomach or whatever, I was like, is he about to have diarrhea? Does he have to go to the bathroom? I didn't think about hunger. I just was like, is this man going to shart or something?
Also, he doesn't end up eating them, but he did order like 10 chocolate sundaes.
I mean, then he would have had to go to the bathroom. That's like a lot of dairy. How funny would that be? Q ate it and he finds out he's lactose intolerant. Oh, the twists and turns. That'll be in the episode that I'm writing.
Although I feel like if he did have to go to the bathroom, Q would not have shut up about how gross it is.
Oh, true.
What do you think, Jeff?
You're probably right.
But
I don't want to think about it, you know?
You know what I think? You know what I realized? I think he had to, because when the episode starts, they said there's 29 hours until the moon hits. And then they're like 9 hours later, or there's not, then the next interval is like 9 hours until the thing is. So I was like, that's 20 hours. There is 0% chance Q didn't go to the bathroom.
Let's be perfectly fair to the episode in terms of their timeline here. The very first time problem that we see is Q gets dropped in the on the ship completely nude. They have time to find him clothes, teach him how to dress himself in those clothes, and in that time, he doesn't once say, okay, so this is what's happened. That's not realistic. It's Q. That's a good, 3 or 4 minutes worth of Q not telling them why he's there nude, and them not asking.
Maybe it's just they're like, it's more important to get him dressed than hear why he's not dressed.
Maybe Q knows that we're watching, and so he did it on purpose.
Yeah, he did it for narrative purposes.
Yes. Is Q Deadpool?
Well, they did say that Q did say he had a IQ of 2005, so.
That's very specific. Actually, speaking of the nudity scenes, up until this point in his career, John Delancey said that these were actually some of the most difficult scenes he had ever done. Apparently specifically the trumpet scene was really difficult. They had to do lots and lots of takes of that because he had to fake playing the trumpet, but not completely, while also moving around, and playing an instrument that you semi know how to play while moving around is already a little bit difficult. But the nude scenes, they were trying to come up with a way to, let him contain his modesty, and they finally came up with a solution on shooting day. And I don't remember if they called him in the morning or something, or said oh, by the way, we have a solution. But apparently he just showed up in a bathrobe, dropped it, and said, screw the solution, let's do this.
Oh, wow.
So that is a very real nude John Delancey.
Yeah, I never know how to feel about that stuff. Those the on-set pranks where it's oh, he was actually naked, because I don't know. I feel like you're starting to get into the realm of not cool with that kind of stuff.
I mean, it wasn't a prank. They were trying to find a solution for it. The solution that they did end up finding was a little complex, and it was going to take a bunch of doing. And he had just kind of reserved himself to look, the easiest way to do this is for me to just be nude, so I'll just be nude.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was more like, just fuck this, I'll just do it naked.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it wasn't a look at my pee-pee.
Because, like, I think if the crew and the like people who are there are like, okay, like they know it's gonna happen, it's not like surprise.
They were a little shocked. But everyone was cool with it. Everyone was very professional about it. Nobody had any ill will about it afterwards. Because it wasn't sexual. That was the other thing that I think is important to note about it. That, like, it was purely a job thing. And there was, like, as far as I know, there were discussions about doing it nude in the first place. And he was just like, well, I'd feel more comfortable if, and then they were having a whole discussion about it. So, like, maybe the precedent had already been set. That I don't know.
Okay, yeah, so what I'm getting from this is more like, oh, we're surprised that you actually just decided to do it naked rather than like, oh, we weren't expecting a naked person here.
Yeah. It kind of sounds like a little bit of both. Because they didn't expect him to just do it. That's for sure.
Yeah, the thing I'm more talking about is like, it's not cool to like spring nudity on people.
That's true, yeah.
Because there's like a scene in Parks and Rec, which is like, this has been sort of discussed online quite a bit, where like Chris Pratt knocks on the door of like Rashida Jones's house in the show. I think it's her house. And then like Amy Poehler opens the door, and Chris Pratt, his character is supposed to be naked, but like he was fully naked. And their reaction was like a real reaction of seeing him naked. And so people were like, what? Because like they had no idea, and just he flashed them in the scene, and their reactions are interesting.
Well then.
So that people are like,
Because the other thing is that this was a scene where like everybody knew what was coming to an extent. Like they all knew this was the scene where Q doesn't have any clothes on. So, like, the fact that it went from that to I'm just going to do it nude, I'm sure was in people's minds. Because everybody would have known that they were trying to figure out what the solution to it was going to be. Because they all would have been talked with about it beforehand, too.
Yeah, and I guess in this whole scenario, he wasn't like doing it to surprise people. He was more just like, you know, just fuck it. I'll just don't bother with trying to cover me up.
Yeah. Yeah, let's just get it over and done with, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And it's not a long shot.
Yeah, and I guess like in that scenario, sort of, John Delancey's kind of the vulnerable one.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's the vulnerable person in that situation, whereas like with the Chris Pratt example, you know, Amy Poehler and Rashida Jones are the vulnerable ones. So, like, you know, yes. Chris Pratt has the power, you know, knowing that he's, you know, fully naked and stuff. And I think that power dynamic makes a huge difference.
Yes.
But yeah, I guess he'll never really know the dynamic unless, you know, you were there. Yeah, so, but like, I used to find those stories funny, like, oh, ha ha ha, like, he was actually naked. And it was just like, in recent years, you know, thinking about it, it's more like, oh, that's actually, like, really not cool to do.
Yeah, very true.
And this just kind of got me thinking about those scenarios. Like, not that this specific situation was bad or whatever, like, because this, you know, it seems to be a sort of different set of circumstances.
Unrelated as in, like, not about Q being naked, but related to the episode. Okay, so when Q was like, the beginning, when he's like, my punishment is mortal whatever, and he chose biggest body, when Picard had his head in his hand, is that the meme thing?
Yes it is. Yes, I have screenshotted it for us. It was important.
I thought it was, and I was like, wait a minute. So I watched it like 3 times just to be like, it is, right? It is. I just kept going back 10 seconds on Netflix. And now I just have to wait for the one where he's got his hand out, like the arm out thing. with his mouth open to whatever.
Yes.
I have to keep my eyes peeled for that one too. Okay, so maybe let's talk. Okay, I want to do the scene at the beginning with Picard, Q, and Worf. Okay, this is truly. Bear with me. This is the best. Okay, so there's some like stuff, but then Q goes, Q the ordinary, and then Picard goes, Q the liar, Q the misanthrope, and then Q goes, Q the miserable, Q the desperate. What must I do to convince you people? And then Worf goes, die. Oh yeah, because this was like, he's like, yeah, I'm a human, I don't have powers. And then Worf, then Q goes, oh, very clever, Worf. Eat any good books lately?
Oh, that's such a good line.
And then Picard goes, fine, you want to be treated as a human? And then Q goes, absolutely. Then Picard goes, all right, Mr. Worf, throw him in the brig. And then Worf goes, delighted, Captain. And then Q goes, you can't do this to me, Jean-Luc. And then Worf goes, you will walk or I will carry you. And then Q goes, given the option, I'll walk. You've disappointed me, Jean-Luc. I'm very disappointed. Hey, and then the doors of the lift open. And Q goes, hey, I'm claustrophobic. I don't like it in here. And then I think this is inside the turbo lift. Q goes, it was a mistake. I never should have picked human. I knew it. The moment I said it. To think of a future in this shell, forced to cover myself with a fabric because of some outdated human morality, to say nothing of being too hot or too cold, growing feeble with age, losing my hair, catching a disease. No more diseases. Star Trek, stop talking about diseases. Being ticklish, sneezing, having an itch, a pimple, bad breath, having to bathe, and then Worf goes, too bad. Just, oh my god, like this is a different, like this is I guess later on in the scene, or just this like thing with Worf and Q, because Worf goes, because I think this is, Q at one point is going on about like, oh, maybe he should have been a Klingon instead. He should have said to be a Klingon. And Worf's like, be quiet or disappear back where you came from. And Q goes, I can't disappear any more than you could win a beauty contest. It's like, what? How dare he?
I mean, could he win a beauty contest?
I think Worf is pretty handsome.
Yeah, I mean, I think it truly depends where the beauty contest takes place and who the judges are.
That's true.
If Worf's somebody's cup of tea.
Worf has 2 penises.
No, please don't. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to think of. I forgot about that, and now I don't want to think about it. No. Yeah, they're just. I'm trying. Most of my notes are just like quotes.
Yeah. I mean, I think that. I mean, there aren't like too many themes in this episode or whatnot, and I think most of the good stuff comes from like the dialogue and exchanges. So
yeah, it is.
I feel comfortable moving on to favorite lines and moments and things of that nature.
Okay. Well, like that chunk is definitely part of this, especially the like and he's like, when Q is like, what can I do to convince you? And Worf is just like, die. And then, okay, so then later on in the episode, Picard goes to see Q in the brig, and Q goes, I've been entirely preoccupied by a most frightening experience of my own. A couple of hours ago, I realized that my body was no longer functioning properly. I felt weak. I could no longer stand. The life was oozing out of me. I lost consciousness. And then Picard goes, you fell asleep. Just such good deadpan delivery. Fantastic. Oh, Q is like trying to exit the brig, and he goes, this is getting on my nerves now that I have them. Okay, so I have 2 more bits. Okay, so then when when they're like, Picard's like, okay, I guess we have to like bring Q back, who's in the shuttle. Picard goes, this goes against my better judgment. Transporter room 3, lock onto shuttle 1, beam it back into the bay. It's bay. And then the goes, aye, Captain. And then Picard looks to Riker and goes, it's a perfectly good shuttlecraft. And then I guess one of the is like the response when Riker is like, I don't need your fantasy women, and I wrote lol holodeck. And then Q goes, oh, you're so stolid. I don't know that word, but he goes, you weren't like this before the beard. Oh, so then Q sends the women to Worf, and then Picard goes, Q! And then Q goes, but I feel like celebrating. And Picard goes, I don't! This was just such a good episode for quotes. Such a good episode for quotes. I don't even know what my favorite part is, because I loved so much of it. Yeah. I loved Guinan, like, stabbing Q. I loved Worf telling him to die. I like, have you eaten any good books lately? It's so stupid, but so amazing and so good. I love it so much.
Oh, the eat any good books lately line, like, I have been quoting that for a good, like, 15 years. I love fucking bringing that up. It is such a great, like, insult that you don't get, like, as soon as you hear it, you're just like, wait, did he just say... You. I fucking love that. I also forgot how great the Red Alert line is at the beginning when he first appears, because he's got that like fucking shit-eating grin on when he says it, and I'm like, damn, you know you're about to piss everyone off. This is nice.
I kind of like that moment where they're in engineering and Q's just like, oh, just change the gravitational constant of the universe. Like, just do it. Like, do that. And then, and then Data has to be like, what Geordi's trying to say is that that's not really in the realm of our capabilities.
Yeah.
You know, I just kind of found it sweet that, you know, Data understood that kind of thing. He understood that needed to be explained to Q.
Oh my God, I totally forgot. There's a line when Q goes, when Geordi's like telling him what to do, he's like, get to the controls or get the hell out of here. And then Q goes, who does he think he is giving me orders? And then Data goes, Geordi thinks he's in command here. And he is correct.
Oh, yeah, there was also a line I wanted to bring up where I thought it was very poignant, where they're just talking and Q is just like lamenting, like, you know, that he's human now and stuff, and I forget exactly how the line goes, but essentially what it comes down to is Data says, so then you have achieved in disgrace what I aspire to be.
Oh.
And I just thought that was a really cool line. I think it's like kind of meant to give Q some pause and kind of make him think about how, you know, being human isn't necessarily all that bad.
Oh, Q.
Oh,
this truly
Q.
is like one of my favorite episodes we've watched so far.
Wow.
It's up there with, like, I can't remember names of anything all of a sudden. Was it Measure of a Man? And, like, Conspiracy and, like, those, like, really up there. Naked Now.
Yeah, this is a very funny episode, but it's not like one of the Star Trek's like comedy episodes. And I think like this succeeded where those episodes fail.
Oh yes,
and they
definitely.
always fail super hard.
Like, where were the writers, like the people who wrote this, whoever wrote this, like A++, and it makes me think of the episode, I think it's in season 2, where Data has what's his face?
Oh, Joe Piscopo?
Yeah, and this is like genius compared to that. Like,
yeah, it's really funny that you mentioned that episode, because that line, like, that Q says to Worf, like, have you eaten any good books lately? It reminds me of the line from that episode where the guy is talking to Data and he's like, Well, have you seen any good-looking computers lately? All right, so with that, we should get on to predictions for the next episode. So, the next episode is called A Matter of Perspective. This is actually a serious episode, so a little tone shift here. And your hint for this episode is that Riker goes on trial for murder.
What the fuck? What?
Definitely didn't expect that to be her reaction when we said that, but not disappointed.
You all right there?
By the way, Dory, just before you try to predict what it's about, there's no like misdirection in what we're telling you. That is actually the central plot of the episode.
Oh shit.
Yes.
Oh my god. Okay, well at the very least, I can't imagine Riker would like first degree style. I can't imagine him like actually murdering someone on purpose. Okay, if this is serious. So I have to think that he's being set up because there's no way Riker would kill someone on purpose. Like self-defense is one thing. Oh, maybe. Okay. Okay. What if? Oh, okay. Oh my god, brain, calm the fuck down. Okay. What if? Okay, so they're on a new planet. It's like precursor to every episode. Or maybe they're in a new solar system or galaxy or area of space, whatever. And okay, maybe I could see like someone trying, maybe someone got into like a public fight with Riker or something, and that this is a very classic like, crime plot, but he maybe got into a fight with Riker in public, and then later, I guess it's either like because people assumed it was him because of the public fight or disagreement, and Riker maybe was like, oh, I hate that guy, or like he just like said out loud he hates that guy. I can't also picture Riker saying I hope someone dies, but to be fair, I don't know Riker that well. I don't know him as well as I would like, so
I mean, he did just kind of hope Q would die in this episode.
No, that was Worf.
No, he hoped it as well when him and Picard were talking about it on the bridge.
Oh, but Q's different.
It was fair.
Q's like Q's a whole other category, because like you can't really kill Q, because even though they were like whatever. Anyways, okay. So it was like a very public, disagreement, and then maybe in like private either. Okay, I got one out of two. I've got two theories. I'm not gonna commit to either. I'm just gonna like put them out there. Okay, so one is that like this person then like follows Riker like in private to try to like settle, because he maybe like Riker embarrassed it, like, because I feel like Riker could take someone down, so maybe this guy did something, Riker like took him down very publicly, and this guy has like a really sensitive ego, and he's like, I'm gonna try to like attack Riker, so maybe he takes like a knife and tries to like go up to Riker like in private and tries to like sucker stab him. I don't know, is that a thing? Secret stab? I don't know, not sucker, but
Backstab?
I guess literally and figuratively, sure. But Riker like senses it, or like he kind of catches it just in time, and like this guy ends up like stabbing himself, but of course because Riker's there, and all the other, maybe there's like a witness of somebody, like the second right after it happens, maybe this guy's like on the ground and Riker's beside him of like, oh shit, like that was stupid, but like, I'm gonna go get help, but then people already see them and they're like, oh, he killed him, because remember they were like in public fighting, like they already had some tension or whatever. Yeah, you know what? I'm not gonna I'm gonna go with that. I'm not gonna say the other one. No, you know what? I'll just say it. The other one is he's just being set up. He has a public thing, and then somebody's like, oh, let's kill that other guy and frame Riker because he had a public spat with him. And so if this guy ends up dying, then it's like, hey, it's easy to blame Riker. Yeah. So it's either framed or not quite self-defense, because Riker didn't kill this guy. He just like evaded, and the guy accidentally kills himself.
All right.
Yes.
All right. So if you'd like to find out if Dory's correct, watch along with us and join us for the next episode of Fully Functional, a TNG podcast.
Goodbye.